Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a DraftKings preview for the 2020 WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. In the past, I kind of went all over the place in these videos. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit more structured. I kind of want to revamp this in a way. So I'm going to keep this basically as a breakdown video. So we're going to go, it's going to essentially be the same thing, but I am going to follow some kind of guide. I am going to talk about course information. I'll talk about past results. I'll talk about course history. That kind of goes with past results. But course history is going to be more of a scoring average. Past results just going to be how much under par the winner was or the golfers that are within the top 10. We'll go over recent form, and then I'll look at the 2019 DK page. We could look at the 2018 DK page that I have, but it's not as in-depth as my 2019 one. We can grab a lot of stuff from that 2019 one, and plus last year was the first year that this was a WGC event. So we'll go and look at the 2019, and then we'll look at Bermuda because that's what this golf course is. We'll look at the grass stats, we'll look at the swing stats, and really just try to compare the 2019 DK page to the 2020 and see if we can find any similarities or differences, and pinpoint some players that we like. So let me go ahead. Let me throw up the tournament fact sheet. But before I get into it, I do like to remind you, like I do in all my videos, that you can watch us in a faster speed. If you're on desktop, go ahead, drag the mouse over the screen. You're going to find a gear icon right down here. Drill down on that. You'll find playback speed. I prefer 1.5, but you could choose 2 times speed and cut the video in half. I feel like this will be a lengthy one. If you're on mobile, you'll find that option, top right hand corner, 3 dots to make a vertical line. Drill down on that, you'll find playback speed. I will also have timestamps in the description, so you can just bounce to any part of the video that you find interesting or important. Okay, so we are at the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational, which I shouldn't say we're at that. That is the tournament. We are at TPC Southwind in Memphis, Tennessee. We've played this golf course. I shouldn't say we. The PGA has played this golf course, dating back to when my data was populated. So my data comes from 2013 and on. So this golf course has been played since 2013. So we do have course history. It's a par 70, 7,200 yards. Which, for a par 70 is, kind of a lot like last week when we were at 7,400 yards, I believe, with a par 72. It's kind of lengthy. And honestly, like, when we get into the past results, you'll see the winning score is going to be around 13 under. This golf course has a lot of water on it. We have a number, or 11 water hazards and 11 holes that have water in play. But a lot of the water, this is kind of, it's a TPC golf course. We were at a TPC golf course last week. It's a lot like, the one the Players Championships played at. What is that one called again? TPC Sawgrass. There is a hole here that resembles that one slightly, but hole 18 finishes just like hole 18 does at Sawgrass. A lot of water guards the greens. I wouldn't say a lot of water is off the tee box, but we'll go through that with the course preview. A lot of it's mostly by the green, and that's all we have to really worry about. I don't really care to look at bunkers, like 75 bunkers. Not a huge deal to me. Unless they are, like Augusta fairway bunkers where you basically have a huge lip in front of you, I don't care about bunkers, and I really don't care about bunkers around the green. A lot of these players are good enough to get out of them. I know some of them aren't, but at this WGC event, we have like the top, it's top 100 golfers. It's more limited than that, but, there isn't anyone here that isn't, ranked outside of the top 100. I'll have to double check that. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there aren't. But anyways, yeah, these golfers are going to get out of those bunkers, no problem. Greens are champion Bermuda grass, cut at 0.9 inches, which, or 0.09 inches, that is. That's lower than what we are what we typically seen. That doesn't mean that they're going to be faster per se, because a lot of, I don't know how Bermuda compares to like bent grass or POA when it comes to how short you cut it, but I assume these greens are going to be rolling at least at a 12. We have, well, does it say up here? No. Usually sometimes they'll have the stimp meter up here, and I don't see it anywhere else. Oh well. We do have zoysia grass in the tees, the fairways, and that also takes a little bit of knowledge how to play off that. In the fairways, the golf ball sits up in the zoysia grass, so a lot of golfers, I mean, your ball strikers, no matter what, this is a ball striker golf course, but with this type of grass, you do want good ball strikers. They're on the PGA Tour. No, I think each one of them is going to be able to handle this, but if you remember, well, I shouldn't say if you remember. I always think of like Tiger Woods when he first came back. He could not dial in his irons, and a lot of it was because he had a lot of lies that were kind of flyer lies, and you get that in Bermuda, but you also get that in zoysia too. So I mean, you have Bermuda grass in the rough, which, if correct, you're going to get flyer lies, and you have zoysia grass in the fairways, which is going to kind of boost. It's going to have the ball sit up higher typically. The grass is just like perfectly, like, I wouldn't call like pins that are holding the ball on top, but it's going to sit nicely on top of the fairway. So there's going to be a little bit of space between soil and golf ball, which you see a lot on the PGA Tour because of how pristine the golf course is. But for grass types, you know, like zoysia is going to make it stand up a little taller. Hopefully you understand that. If not, just leave a comment asking, you know, for a little clarification. I don't really have to talk much more about grass, but I do think if you can do your, I don't have zoysia grass data, but if you can, I would look at both of them and just see which golfers are good at both. So, but I do think Bermuda's the one that we really want to look at. Let's see. Additional notes. Changes to the course since last year's tournament include a full bunker renovation, reshaping some bunkers, re-edging some bunkers, so all bunker work. Other changes include shifting number 3 fairway to the right 15 yards and constructing a new tee that added 25 yards of length to the hole. Oh, very interesting. Number 7 fairway was resurfaced, and a new tee extended that hole by 15 yards. Okay, so course is playing a little longer than last year, but it doesn't seem like a lot of changes are done. You can always get to this tournament fact sheet by visiting the GCSS or GCSAA.org and coming to you wouldn't be going to this page, but if you went to that website and you scroll all the way down, you're going to find media room, go to tournament fact sheets. That'll get you here. And then you can go to the PGA Tour and look up whatever one you want. So you have the opportunity to look at it yourself. Let's get into like a course preview. Kind of squeaked there, sorry. But unfortunately, these stupid TPC golf courses don't give like a hole by hole, you know, properly. So I rely on the PGA Tour giving me this kind of course overview. And how they did it for this golf course is from the green, like looking from the green going back to the tee. But that also reminded me, we shouldn't really care about what type of tee shot you have to hit off of the, or what type or what shape you have to hit off the tee. It's more or less what shot are we trying to hit into the green. And I did my homework already. There are 5 holes that you want to hit a fade off, or a fade off of the tee, and there are 7 holes you want to hit a draw. And then the other 7 holes are kind of just a mix, or they're pretty straight, I should say. But when it comes to the green, now that's all we're gonna focus on when we look at this. I'm gonna go through it pretty quickly because I don't think we really need to spend a lot of time looking at a course preview. I just want you to kind of have like if you are stuck between two golfers and one hits a fade and one hits a draw, or you know, one hits a left to right shot shape and one hits a right to left, I want this to be the deciding factor for you. I do think it's going to be important. And you're going to see a lot of these greens kind of favor one type of shot shape. So also, again, keep in mind, off of the tee, I found 7 holes you want to hit a draw, 5 holes you want to hit a fade, and the other 7, it's just, they're pretty straight. So they can be any type of shot shape. Some of those are par 3s, obviously. But yeah, any type of shot shape. Okay, so here's hole 1. Tee box is over here. Here's the green. We have a bunker right in the front right. And we have fairway over here on the left side. So basically what this is saying, you know, find the fairway. And from the fairway, we want to be hitting a shot that curves kind of like this. So it's going to be a left to right shot shape. For right-handed golfers, that's a fade. For left-handed golfers, that's a draw. So I'm going to go by right-handed golfers. This is a fade type of green. Hole 2, again, same thing. It's a fade green. Bunker guards the front left, so we want to be shaping a shot into the right. That'll get us probably the closest to the pin over here. Now, you could easily bomb it. So a Bryson, if he hits at 350 or whatever down here, you could theoretically lob it because you are close enough. But it's, you know, that type of risk is, I mean, it's difficult. Let's just put it that way. And you're hitting on a Bermuda. That's never, you can never depend on what kind of ball comes out of Bermuda grass. But yeah, I'd say a fade. Hole 3, it's pretty easy. It's a par 5, water all along the right hand side of the, well, I mean, from the green kind of going back to your approach shot. So it requires kind of a deep ball. This is kind of resembles hole 16 at TPC Sawgrass. I mean, in a lot of ways. You want to hit a draw off of the tee, it looks like, or a gentle draw. I mean, you don't really have to, but if you can get in this tree opening, it's definitely a draw to get it on the green. And look at how the green is shaped. I mean, it shapes kind of from front left to back right. And all that says is a draw is a perfect shot shape to get into the green. So it's a scoring hole, par 5. Definitely want to hit a fade into the green. Hole 4 is a par 3. We have water on the left side. Bunkers all over the green. If the pin is over in this back left location, we definitely want to be hitting a draw into the green. So this is really our first draw type of green. I think it's going to play somewhat difficult. Scoring average is 3.016. I mean, it's definitely a draw to hit into close pin in this back left. This is the only kind of sketchy part of the green that if you want to get it close to make birdie, it's got to come in that shot shape. Otherwise, it's too far of a carry to be hitting a fade that's going to sit close. I mean, I don't anticipate that happening. So hole 5 is kind of, from the tee, it's a dog leg right, so you would want to be hitting a fade, but you don't necessarily have to. I think this type of green, you can shape it any direction you want. Sure, we do have bunkers here, but they're so far off that I don't really think a fade coming in, right-handed fade is going to be detrimental. I can't see the rest of the green. It doesn't look like there's a lot of trouble, but if, say, the green even extends past this bunker down here, then I would say, yeah, we would want to hit a draw. But it looks like you can hit either shot shape. Hole 6, bunker short left, bunker kind of long left, or I'm sorry, short right and long left. I would say a fade is the preferred shot shape into this green, just because you want to be coming in between the bunkers, and the short left is only going to be, beneficial if you're hitting a fade. Now the tee shot requires a draw. I shouldn't say requires a draw, but a draw. The whole kind of dog legs left. So, I mean, you could hit a fade. Hole 7 is pretty straight away, and unfortunately, I cannot see the green whatsoever. It says it's a straightaway par 4 with a tight fairway and a green with bunkers left to protect against errant fades and a large tree to catch errant draws. So that is something to consider. Looks like really just keeping it tight is the way to go. Probably more of a straight shot or a gentle fade or a gentle draw. Hole 8. Looking at the green, I would say really 173 yards to get this close. If the only way you can get it, it's probably going to be both, right? Because there's going to be a green on the front, or there's going to be a pin location on the front left, back left, back right, and front right. I don't know how this green putts or how it slopes. Just by looking at this, if I was playing this hole from this direction going this way, I would definitely be hitting a fade. So if I'm looking at from tee box to here, it would show there's a bunker in the front, a bunker left, and a bunker right. So is this where the green, like, yeah, man, these course layouts are so terrible. I'm not sure how this is coming in, because, I mean, if you can see the little graphic going straight, there's a bunker right in the front. I'm not sure if that's this bunker. I think it is. There's really no other bunker that's in between, right? This would be the back of the green. So it must be coming in from here. I guess if that's the case, this green is then shaped for a left to right ball flight. So definitely a fade. Hole number 9, the hardest hole on the course. It pretty much, it's a fade tee shot, and then it's a draw second shot. So this one definitely favors a draw big time to get it close. Hole number 10, tee box is over here. It's a dogleg left with a creek cutting the fairway in half. So a dogleg left obviously requires a draw, but I just don't see any trees when I look back that are really going to get in the way. So I think you could probably hit a fade. But the green is sloped from front right to back left. We would want to hit a draw into the green. So it's a draw. It's a draw golf course or golf hole, hole number 10. Hole number 11, 155 yards. This is the one that kind of resembles TPC Sawgrass. A bunker in the front. I think there's a bunker in the back, looks like. 155 yards. I think we can hit any type of shot into this green. Really the only shot that's almost inaccessible. Well, no. They'll all have enough spin, so it doesn't matter if you have a draw or a fade. It won't matter. Hole number 12, water's all along the right side, so this is obviously going to favor a right-handed golfer's fade. Definitely going to be, I would say, fade all the way. The only time I wouldn't consider a fade is if a golfer is able to drive the ball somewhere over here. I mean, that could be Bryson. And then basically the water is then out of the picture. You could hit any shot into the green if you can drive it far enough over on this side. But the tee ball, I would say you'd want to hit a fade, because if you do catch the water, you get to drop, further up, as opposed to hitting a draw would mean you have to go over the water. So a fade to me is definitely the way to play this hole, both tee and then approach shot. Hole number 13, 459 yards. Pretty much, I mean, it looks pretty straight away. It says it's a dogleg right, so it's a gentle dogleg right, but like you could hit a draw, no problem. I wouldn't even say it's that big of a deal. It says it's a well-guarded green with bunkers. Looking at the green shape that I can right now, I see there's a little bit that goes out this way. I mean, if there's a pin right here, then obviously a draw is going to get close to the hole. It's probably, you could play this anyway, possible. Hole 14, water guards the right side, and the green slopes from front left to back right. That's a fade. Every single day you want to hit a fade into that green. Hole 15, short par 4 with tight tee shot, guarded by trees. The hole then doglegs left over a creek to a green, surrounded by bunkers left and long. The doglegs left over it. So if this is where the fairway is, I mean, it's 402 yards. I don't know if this is how long it's going to play for the PGA. But let's say you have a 100-yard approach shot. Any of these pros just going to hit a straight wedge shot. There's no shaping. There's really no shaping a shot. Maybe you can put some side spin on it, you know, to get the ball closer to whatever side the hole is on. But for the most part, I think golfers are going to have a short approach, that it doesn't matter what type of shot shape you want. Hole number 16, we're looking from the green back to the tee box. This type of green, short left to back right, just favors another fade. So now that would be 2 par 5s, at least 2 par 5s, where we want to hit a fade into the green. So I think it's, you know, this course more and more is looking like a faders type of golf course, a left to right ball shape. Hole 17 is pretty straight away. Doesn't look like much. I mean, it says it's surrounded by bunkers left and right. This is one of those from the tee box now going down to the green. I don't know. I don't know the whole purpose behind all that. Hole number 18 is a draw and draw and draw. Like, it's a draw tee shot, and then it's a draw approach shot. This is hole 18. This is essentially hole 18, like TBC Sawgrass. This was DJ's 171-yard Eagle hole-out victory. And if I recall that shot, he had a tee ball over here, and the pin was short right. He basically stuffed it, and it just barely rolled in. So I think these greens might be a little receptive, but if we go and we look at the results of this golf course, we have Brooks Koepka, who fades the golf ball, winning. Dustin Johnson, who fades the golf ball, winning. I should say, sorry, Brooks in 2019 won. Dustin in 2018 won. Daniel Berger fades the golf ball as well, won in 2017 and 2016. Not sure about Fabian Gomez. I haven't figured that one out yet. And I really don't know how the rest of these guys really, I'd have to do some digging into it and try to figure it out. So, I mean, our winners have faded the golf ball. A lot of these guys up here, I mean, Fleetwood actually draws the golf ball. So does Rory. Rahm fades it. Justin Rose fades it. Webb Simpson actually draws it. So here are all your fade golfers that I know off the top of my head. I'm just gonna put Bubba in there just because he does that. I'm not sure about Billy. So those would be your fade golfers, and it's obviously the majority of them at the top. I do know Simpson draws it, so does Fleetwood. McIlroy now shapes it both directions. I don't think he's really limited based off of what type of shot shape, you know. He obviously, the draw is what he would prefer, but again, he's been working on his fade, so I know he can fade the golf ball. But like Daniel Berger, Brooks Koepka, Phil hits a lefty fade, but obviously he can shape it both directions. Stricker actually draws the ball. DJ fades the ball. The rest of them I don't know. I really don't know a lot of these other ones, but we're seeing a lot of the same names. Daniel Berger, Brooks Koepka, DJ, Billy Horschel, Phil Mickelson, DJ. JB Holmes fades the ball. I know I'm kind of giving you just random golfers, like as I see them, like, oh, that guy, you know, fades the golf ball. I mean, a lot of you guys are probably looking at this already going, well, these results here, 2018, 2017, 2016, really probably don't have a lot of value because it's not a WGC event. 2019 is the first year that this became a WGC event. But it's still course history, and it's still showing what type of golfer, you know, just sure, Daniel Berger won in 2017, 2016, and the field may not have been, you know, that great, but still seeing what type of golfer fits this course, or what type of shot shape probably fits this course, that is pretty telling. So, but looking at the results, 16 under, 19 under, 10 under, 13, 13. I said 13 was going to be the target goal. It really just depends on weather. I guess if we're going to have perfect days, I would assume 16 under is going to win it every single day or every single tournament. But I do believe 13 is really what we're looking at. So I would probably say bogey avoidance. Like if we're looking at scoring type of stats, I would say bogey avoidance is probably the best. But having some birdie or better percentage, or any other type of scoring stat that favors birdies or eagles, probably a good stat to look at as well. But I would put more emphasis on either bounce back birdies or just bogey avoidance. Okay, so that was the results. I didn't really say that before, but now we'll look at the course history. And I do have this sorted by golfers that are playing in the field and what their average scoring position or average score, their scoring average. Wow, how was that difficult to say? And you can see some of these guys here at the top only had played this event once. So, and this again, this was the WGC year. This is when it first became a WGC event. If I were to remove first timers and golfers who have never golfed here before, Rafa Cabrera, you know, has an 8th place average finishing position, but I don't know if I really care so much about that. Here's a good one. These two right here, actually, these three. Obviously, we saw Billy Horschel a bunch up there. But what do you do with someone like a Dustin Johnson, who's looked awful in his last 2 events? What do you do with the Brooks Koepka, who missed the cut at the 3M Open? You know, like an easier field. I'm not going to say it was really an easier golf course, because I do believe that the wind, as well as with all the water, played a huge factor in some of these golfers doing terrible, like DJ. Brooks just couldn't putt, but still missing the cut at an easier track, you know, even if you're ball striking it decent, should be getting it close enough to make putts. But what do we do with those, you know, at least Brooks and DJ, who've looked pretty terrible? Do we trust Phil to play well? He was 57th here last year. That's not good when the field is only like 78 people deep. That's near the end. But I do believe someone like a Phil Mickelson, probably a better play than if he's a better play because it's a no-cut event. So he's a guy that can still score, you know, pretty low numbers. He can also score very high numbers. That's not really going to hurt him here, though. So him getting more birdies is, you know, to offset his doubles or triples, it's going to be great. You know, we don't have to worry about him missing a cut. But 57th isn't really going to get you a lot of points. So I think we want Phil to do better. I think he probably could. So Phil's is a really interesting play. As is Horschel. Horschel, I think, was working on some kind of swing change. I can't remember before the restart. I want to say I saw something on Twitter that he had posted saying his game was close or something like that. And when we get to recent form, we'll see that he has been looking pretty decent over his last few events. I do like Billy Horschel. And Brooks, I mean, I don't know what to do with Brooks. I'm not really going to talk much about Brooks. Daniel Berger, obviously you take out the missed cut here. He obviously has a win average. You know, a first place average. Of course, he does have a missed cut in 2018 because there was a cut, but there is no cut here. So I would be a little bit more comfortable playing someone like Daniel Berger. Webb Simpson has a great track record here as well. Second place last year when it was a WGC. A missed cut in 2015. But if you look at he's one of the top Bermuda golfers this week for 2020 Bermuda stats. He doesn't have worse than a third place finish when it comes to Bermuda grass. So I would definitely play Webb Simpson. He just looks like a strong play. Him and Daniel Berger. I mean, both of them, you take these 85th, or they're missed cuts. So if you take the missed cuts out, like they're good. They look good. Not gonna really talk about the rest of the guys. You can obviously see how they fare up here. We could look at the number of top 10s in this field. Billy Horschel has 5 of them. That's amazing. Phil's next with 4, then DJ, Brooks. Ches Reavie has what, 2? Okay. Ian Poulter has 2, Berger has 2, Simpson has 2. We've talked about all of them. Funny enough, there's only, 6 other golfers that have top 10s here. I do have to admit that not a lot of golfers have course history. Like if we were to scroll down here to the bottom and look at some of these golfers, like Victor Hovland doesn't have course history. We can pretty much ignore that. I shouldn't say ignore that. No one really came to this event prior to it becoming a WGC event. So not having course history wasn't that detrimental. Looking at all the guys who finished at the top of the leaderboard, obviously Brooks won last year, and then Webb got second, but then 3rd through 7th had not played here before. Even like someone like Matthew Fitzpatrick, that's when we go back and look at the golfers who haven't played this golf course, I'll tell you who he reminds me of. But like Leishman, Fleetwood, and McIlroy, and obviously John Rahm, they're elite golfers, so there's something to be said about that. They're not just like random golfers who just show up on the leaderboard, you know. But going back to who Matthew Fitzpatrick reminds me of, he reminds me of like an Adam Hadwin, Victor Hovland, Sungjae Im, golfers who are good ball strikers. That I don't want this to sound cliche, but they have a lot of fight in them, you know. I don't know if that's really the right way to think about it, but I also would put Colin Morikawa in there. So I wouldn't fade any of these guys. Or if you do like one of these golfers that does not have course history, don't mind it. You know, not a huge deal. You should play them with confidence. Okay, so that was course history. Let's dive into recent form, and we'll start at 2019. Here's what 2019 looked like. The St. Jude, what tournament preceded it was the US Open and the Barbasol Championship. So the Barbasol was obviously the alternate event, US Open obviously a major. So this tournament followed a major, and we're not going to see that with any of the other recent forms going through the years. So everyone basically played the week before, and the golfers that came in here that got that finished top, I'm gonna what's the word I'm looking for? whatever. I'm gonna just include these 7 golfers. It helps my case. So I mean, kind of sugarcoating it for myself. But we would take these 7 golfers. Each one of them had really good recent form, and if you take out the missed cuts or the missed cuts at the Open, pretty darn good recent form. So obviously you got to keep that in mind. That was Rory and Mark Leishman. I'm not, gonna really fault them. I'm not gonna say fault them. We can ignore the 85s. Now, if there were, like an 85 from Ian Poulter, that's going to be a little bit different, or even an 85 from Billy Horschel. But, someone that does help Billy's numbers look. They just make them look better. So we could probably look at something like that, because as we go through the last, just keep going back. 2018, we had the Memorial Tournament, which actually we could probably use Memorials, like finishing positions to see the golfers that we want or that we find, enticing, because really only the 3M Open was wedged between the Memorial and the St. Jude Classic, or what was once called the St. Jude Classic. But obviously now we have golfers that have course history and who had played the year before. Either way, looking just at recent form, again, it looks like coming in with decent recent form is pretty beneficial. But again, this is a 150 person field. Yeah. And apparently my filter doesn't, filter doesn't take out all of the, okay, never mind. 156 person field, but a bunch of withdrawals, it looks like. In 2018, that is. So 2017, now the recent form doesn't look that good. Daniel Berger won with 62 finishing or average finishing position. That includes a missed cut, a 65th and a 36th. But yeah, you see a lot of red. Red is not good, obviously. So recent form in 2017 didn't really matter. In 2016, it did. Again, or I shouldn't say again, but we do have good recent form now. Of course, looking down at this section, 6th through 10th place, basically, we see a lot of that light red once again. This is going to be so different, though. I don't think looking at all the recent forms as we go back, to 2013 is going to really it's not going to matter all that much, because we're kind of coming. I mean, this is a WGC event. We have half of the field that we typically would at one of these, or at this tournament. And I mean, if you're with me this far, as I've been talking about this obviously is a GC event, WGC event. So it only has 78 golfers. It's not going to ever have more than that. So my comment with having half the field, that doesn't mean there's going to be more. It's just that, when you have 150 people, there's a little bit more variety of results that are going to happen. Probably not going to, the leaderboard isn't going to look like this for the 2020 results for this tournament. 2014, terrible recent form coming in. It didn't matter. I mean, what we could always do is kind of sort by recent form average just to see how bad it was. Because obviously, like, these could obviously be at the top if we didn't, look at recent form. But maybe that's kind of stupid to think that way, or to have said that. Didn't really matter. But terrible recent form. I just wanted you guys to see, as we scroll down here, the light red starts at 57th place when it comes to best, or 57th best recent form. So definitely a large player pool before we get here to these recent form averages. I just want to point out, in 2014, recent form didn't look like, it didn't matter what kind of recent form you had coming into this. 2013 was a little different. Looks like recent form actually was a good stat to look at. You know what? I'm just going to do that for all of these. I want to see how many top 20 finishes. A lot. Our fair share of top 20s even here. Oops. Quite a few. I mean, your first place finisher end up finishing at the top. So now that we have the 2019 open, I mean, we're going to see a lot of top 20 finishes only because, you know, it's a limited field, but, you know, second, 2 fourths, 7th, 3 fourths. So, like, that actually mattered, recent form. The winner didn't have the best recent form, so you really wouldn't be able to play like a Rory. But you could play a Matt Fitzpatrick, and you probably could play a Tommy Fleetwood. Although he was not in the optimal lineup. So, yeah, I mean, just look, do your best. These golfers that had good recent form here had a good result the week before. I would say anyone that has a good result at the Memorial Tournament, probably worth the play. But here are your top recent form golfers. Tyrrell Hatton, I mean, he has really good Bermuda stats. I would definitely consider a Tyrrell Hatton. I also would consider a Victor Hovland, definitely. Now, what I want to do is look at top 20s at the Memorial because that kind of resembles top 20s at the Open. In my opinion, it does. They're very tough golf courses. So, Jon Rahm 10-4, Tommy Fleetwood 10-2, Matt Fitzpatrick 7-7, and Brooks Koepka 11-6. So as we look here, do we have anyone that's like super high price? JT. So I like JT. I also like Xander. And obviously Jon Rahm won, so I do like Jon Rahm. I might start my three lineups with those as my kind of foundational pieces, just when it comes to looking at recent form. Interesting with Mackenzie Hughes at 6,400. That kind of reminds me of like a Ian Poulter, or nah, it really doesn't. Never mind. Patrick Reed. Oh man. And then there's Billy Horschel here. 85. That's pretty spendy for what he's typically, or what he has been here before. Now we did see a couple miscuts, so definitely keep that in mind. And of those, 2 7K guys, Rory at 11-1 and Mark Leishman at 7-6. So I mean, like a Joaquin Neiman would be 7K. Ian Poulter once again. Yeah, maybe Poulter's a good play. Honestly, when it comes to some of this pricing. How about this? We go like that and like that, making this a little easier. Oh, no. There. Bryson, Webb. So really it would just be like Bryson, right? I'm sorry, I keep doing that. Yeah, Bryson, not a bad, I don't think that's a bad play. And then if we're looking for any of the 7K guys that we kind of just saw, here you go. Paul Casey, Sungjae. I really like Sungjae this week. And Poulter, once again, you know, he kind of follows that same frame that he had before. It's not terrible. Ooh, man, that kind of... you know what? I think we could probably create a lineup very similar, like 7, 7. Okay, let's I'm gonna humor myself here. We're gonna go sort this by salary. We are gonna kind of create a lineup, kind of just buy off of this according to this. So 3 guys with 7K and a miscut at the Memorial. So that could be these three right there. We could include Paul Casey if we wanted to. So how about we just do this? Those three. And then we could find someone in the 7K range that kind of resembles Matthew Fitzpatrick, 77 with the top 20. Sure. That could be Kevin Na. It's probably Kevin Na. Jordan Spieth or Jason Day, I guess. Let's just do Kevin Na. So there we go. We have 4 golfers. So far, that is a sum of 29,800. So we are working with 21,200 left for 2 spots. 21,200, meaning we could grab someone at the top like a John Rahm. This would leave us with $8,800 left. So as we look at that, we could go with that and like a Patrick Reed. That's not a bad lineup. Or like a Billy Horschel. Or who was the other one? Abraham Answer? Is that who I just saw? I mean, Spieth or Day. Yeah, I like that. I might create a bunch of lineups like that, honestly. I mean, that's more of a trend type of mentality, looking at something like that, but still fun nonetheless. Okay, let's look at 2019 DK results. So what I did is, I mean, let's do a quick recap of this. As we look at golfers who started on hole 1 versus hole 10, it doesn't look like there was much of an advantage. And I don't think when we looked at the course preview that there was really an advantage starting on hole 1 or 10. Neither of the starting holes looked to be that difficult to go out on, and none of the first 3 holes kind of going out really provided much thought as maybe we should target golfers on this side of the 9. And then when it comes to morning, afternoon, now this is a WGC event, so they're all going to go off in the same waves, basically. There isn't really an AM PM. It might look that way. But like 11:20 was your first starting tee time, 1:10 was your last. You can see there's not a AM PM split. So really starting hole tee time, that stuff does not matter. You could use odds as one of your tools. You can look at that right there. I personally don't. I don't care, so I'm not going to. That didn't matter. Points per game, value, that stuff doesn't matter to me. Pause the video, screenshot this. This stuff just I'm not going to talk about. Not going to waste my time. For the rest of these stats, though, what I did was I looked at course history. Here's what I did. You see in column N, there's a number. This says top 20 or T20 stats. This is how many times this golfer had a top 20 stat. When I open this up, you're going to see a bunch of columns that are populated. And these are the stats that these golfers were top 20 in. So just so you see it, just for your own personal, proof, that's what, and these are the stats that I'm using. Which means I don't really have to talk about these stats all that much. What I could do is, if we saw a column that was just dominated, like the 2019 Bermuda stats, we could say, okay, let's look at that stat. This if that many top 20 golfers, this is your result right here. Here are your top 20 golfers. That looks to be obviously in the top 10. It is each one of them. Each one of these top 10 golfers were top 20 in 2019 Bermuda stats. So that was a huge stat to look at. Now that I do this, I like this so much. You guys can see what stats really matter. I would say Bermuda for top 10 stats. I mean, it almost makes me want to create another column to see what total of the top 10 golfers. But, I mean, I could do that down here. So, that would be 10. 7. 5. 4. That's too far. Still 4. 5 for tee to green. 6 for off the tee, 4 for approach, 4 for around the green. Putting 6, that's not bad. 4, 3, and 4. Birdie or better though when you get past the top 10 looks pretty solid. As does around the green when you get past the top 10. But I'm always looking at the top 10. So number 1 stat, 2019 Bermuda. Number 2 stat, overall Bermuda. Number 3 stat was putting. And then a bunch of other stats that have 5. So off the tee, around the green, or tee to green, I'm sorry. Tee to green, off the tee, recent form. So I guess when we look at stats, those are the ones we want to look at. Bermuda, Bermuda, putting, off the tee, tee to green, recent form. Approach doesn't really show up. Birdie or better, we could also kind of, that could be a tiebreaker stat. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead, hide this. We can scroll over here and you can see as I sort this out, you're going to find golfers. Obviously, Shane Lowry was out, but you're going to find golfers with tick marks. Not really tick marks, but the number goes up when it comes to recent form. Interestingly enough, Phil Mickelson, that was his only stat that he was top 20 in, was course history. Recent form we could look at. I'm just really just showing this for top 20 purposes, so you don't think that I'm swindling you guys whatsoever. Here's your overall Bermuda. You can see a bunch of guys finishing inside the top 20. Really, you don't see anyone outside except for Matt Kuchar, Jason Day, Sergio, and Adam Scott. All old guys, mind you. Over 40 that finished 40th or worse. Narrative. But yeah, overall Bermuda, pretty good. 2019 Bermuda, obviously, like we knew we were going to see this. Interestingly enough, Matt Kuchar kind of in there, wedged himself in there. 9K guy. Again, old guy. We could play that narrative in the 2020 stats. But yeah, if you take Kuchar out, it's nothing but really good, finishing positions. And definitely something to consider. You don't see the winner inside the top 10, but you do see him. He's the 12th ranked, and Webb Simpson was the 15th ranked. Okay. I'm not going to go through tee to green or anything like that. I think we can kind of tell what is what. Rory, Brooks, Webb, all within the top 20, tee to green. But yeah, if we were to sort by top 20 stats, Brooks is in the top 7. Rory, obviously that's too much. I wouldn't pay that much for him. You really can't find your optimal lineup looking at top 20 stats. It's kind of got to be a mix of golfers. And we kind of looked at that when it came to like recent form and course history. Okay, so let's look at the 2020 DK page. And basically, same thing's going to apply. I think what we want to do right away is just look. I'm not sure what I have this sorted by, but here are your top golfers salary-wise. And here are the top stats. I mean, Jon Rahm and Rory and JT all tie for having the most top 20 stats. I think when it comes down to it, we still want to use Bermuda, and obviously the 2020 Bermuda is something we want to look at. So what I do in these 2020 DK sheets is now color code them to be, dark green for top 20s. Here are your top 20 golfers, and there's Sung Jae. We already pulling up some of these missed cuts from the Memorial Tournament. There's Ian Poulter. Do we have another 7K guy that we were talking about? No. Oh, Paul Casey. So maybe those are our 3 guys who would miss the cut at the Memorial that we want to play for this tournament. Like our 7K guys. That's not terrible. I mean, let's float between the two. See if we can figure out what we like the most. Brooks is up there. He was right in the middle. The highest priced guy. Who was second? Webb down here at 82. So then if we were trying to create a lineup like that, if we're trying to find someone in the middle, there's Rom right in the middle. And we want to find someone that's like 90, you know, 90 or $9,000 to be like Webb. There's Colin Morikawa. Or was it 95? Were we looking at 82? 82. So Gary Woodland, question mark? I mean, that kind of resembles 2019, doesn't it? So, hold on. 82. 77, 74, 76. Okay, so they're more towards the top. But then there's Brooks right there. Here's your optimal lineup. So Bubba was 71. Considered top 20. So your optimal lineup used everyone in the top 20. So would that be Max Homa then? Can we? That's 49,900. Put it in. Right there. This is your lineup. But maybe we don't choose like these guys. We choose like Scotty Scheffler and Mark Leishman. Man, I'm going to put all of these lineups in that I'm going over. I like every single one of them. Even change 7,200 out for 7,400. Okay. Well, I wasn't really going to go throughout all of the stats because kind of just going by top 20 stats over here should kind of clarify that. I guess I could just go tee to green, show you what that looked like, because we kind of just did overall Bermuda and 2020 Bermuda. Here are the golfers that don't have enough PGA starts to warrant PGA stats. I don't think it really matters that much, so let's go ahead and get rid of them. But here are your top tee to green golfers. Obviously JT, Sergio, Rory, Hideki, pretty good. But again, we only saw what was it, 6 or 5 golfers in the top 20 for tee to green, finished top 20 for, yeah, well, top 10, sorry, top 10, which is still good, but obviously like 2019 Bermuda definitely had the best. So Sergio has the best 2020. I mean, Rory's right there with them. These guys could also be considered. You have 10 golfers right here that I think if you split into 5, you could probably come up with a pretty good, you know, 5-some when it comes to creating lineups. So there's Paul Casey once again with John Rahm, with Colin Morikawa if you were to go that route. You could also include Sergio in that. Trying to figure out how to do it this way, like it worked for the other way. I mean, there's Scotty Scheffler, so that works. He's still considered top 20 when it comes to this for tee to green. So Scotty Scheffler, Paul Casey, John Rahm. Nobody else in the 7K range that we could really use that has top 20. Doesn't look like it. So it looks like Paul Casey is just showing up a bunch when it comes to creating lineups. He might be just a guy we have to just jam in no matter what. Let's look at 2019. Oops, wrong way. I mean, sure, we have a bunch of guys up here that did well, but still, for their price tag, not worth it. And those are your top tee to green guys. Brooks fell down here. Is that like John Rahm? Rahm down here. Yeah, he is. So John Rahm just keeps also pointing out like the guy that we want to play. According to 2019 trends. Yeah, I know. Webb at 82. 71.6, 82. Matthew Fitzpatrick was just below it, so this could almost be like our Scotty Scheffler. Mark Leishman was just below it as well, so he wasn't, you know, top 20 tee to green. Actually, how about that? What does it look like? They all had positive tee to green stats, which I would probably assume that was going to happen. I'm going to open this back up. Yeah, we'll hide this. Putting up. Green rag proximity. Those. Okay, so we can look at it like this as opposed to kind of trying to see what that other stuff looks like. But yeah, 2019, 2020. So how many correlated? We had 5. Brooks and Webb, Rory, Tommy Fleetwood, John Rahm. John Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood, and Rory were not in the optimal lineup. They're also not in the winning GPP lineup. So those high-priced guys, just you gotta choose one of them. But Webb was. I'm sorry if I excluded him, but Webb was within that. So was Mark Leishman. Mark Leishman was not in the top 20. Neither was Fitzpatrick or Ian Poulter. So 3 of our 7K guys were not in the top 20. What were their actual 0.7, 0.9, and 0.2? That's not good. I mean, 0.2 is not bad. Never mind. If we were to go down here to 0.2, there's Poulter once again at that 0.2. I mean, I think Poulter and Kevin Na might be the pivots, you know, if you're pivoting one to the other. That looks super interesting. Who are the other now? So that's our 74. 77 was at 0.9. So go up to 0.9. We're looking for 77. 73. That's pretty darn close. But if you weren't in the top, I mean, there's Sungjae. You know, like I would probably go Sungjae. So I mean, I kind of already have who I'm going to be targeting quite a bit, just based off of the trends. I do like, I kind of like creating lineups that way. It's a little fun. I can see there's a bunch of last year ones, so that'll be kind of interesting to play around with. Fitzpatrick was last year too. Oh, we're looking at 2020. Never mind. What did they look like here? Oh, a lot of these golfers just didn't golf the year before. That's right. We had a bunch of golfers that didn't golf the year before. Really, only Brooks was the guy at top 10 who had golfed here before but did not have a really good finishing position, which was 30th place. So not a huge deal there. Okay, well, videos run an hour 4 minutes. I think that's long enough, and I think that's good enough, right? We really didn't go over grass stats, but well, yeah, we did. I just, you know, going over the top 20 stats from the 2019 DK page, I thought was a great way to show you what that looks like here as well. You know, looking at 2019, having top 20 stats just did not matter all that much. I mean, it did, but it wasn't like the end all be all. So you definitely can play golfers that aren't at the top of top 20 stats. You know, out of the top I'm gonna sugarcoat this, but the top 8 golfers, you really only wanted to play one of them. When it comes to top 20 stats. And some of these optimal lineups, I mean, 5, 4 was your lowest, 6, 8. Six, Sung Jae. How about 4? Can we find a... Who am I looking for? We're looking for an Ian Poulter, right? At 5. There he is with 5 yet again. We're looking for a Scotty Scheffler, right? Oh, Scotty Scheffler has 7. Okay. Was there anyone at 4 that's at 7K? Thompson, Mark Leishman, once again. Okay. I see you, Mark Leishman. And he has top 20 Bermuda. Well, we have a lot of golfers we can choose from. A lot of fun. Just trying to figure it out. I mean, Bubba Watson was a part of the optimal lineup. He only had 2 at 7,100. Go down to 2. Do we see anyone that's like a good golfer that might be a little underpriced? Maybe Kevin Kisner. What was Bubba Watson? A 1.6. So he had played the week before. I'm not sure we're gonna really get. Well, we would have to go by Memorial Tournament status, right? So what did Bubba have? A 51. If we went to Memphis, the Memorial, and we're looking for a 50 somewhere in here. Do we have a 7K guy, like a low 7K? Adam Hadwin. Do you even consider Streelman? What was Bubba's finish? 51st? Okay. 7,100. So 51st, we could basically consider like Kevin Streelman. Well, that's the other thing too. Which one of these guys here fits that? Are we seeing any kind of overlap? Anything? CT Pan, Adam Hadwin, Streelman, Usti, Mickelson, Answer. Usti shows up. So does Mickelson. So we have options yet again. Mickelson, Usti. Oh, I'm having a hard time seeing this for whatever reason. No Benny Ann. Does Abraham Answer show up there? Nope. Lucy, Phil. Spielman in here at all? Nope. Hadwin? Nope. So just those two. Okay. Now they're all at 6K, 8K. Jason Day might be interesting. How did this look for 2019? Why were we looking at those? Or we're trying to find the next Bubba. That's what we're looking for. These were all of our guys that had 2 stats, right? Somewhere around $7,100. So obviously it's Usti. Usti's the closest one. Phil works as well. Yeah. Definitely thinking more on the Usti trend. Okay. All right. That's enough. I do appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for getting all the way to here. Hopefully that was somewhat interesting for you. That almost is like a lineup building video. I should almost have kept it like this. for the lineup building video, I'm just going to go and select players. That's all we're going to do. I'm not going to talk about the process. We're not going to go through any of that. That takes too long. So I don't want to bore you guys when it comes to that kind of thing. However, with this information, I also want to do that too with the lineup construction video, is basically it being a continuation of this video and saying, hey, from the preview video, this is what we saw. Here's how we're starting our lineups. This is how we're building our lineups, and go from there. But yeah, that is my plan. I do want to make this a little bit more interesting for most people. So I'm gonna try my hardest to make it a little bit more enticing. Now this video is 1 hour and 10 minutes long, but hopefully it was worth it. Let me know in the comment section. Should I make it shorter? What would you like skipped from what I talk about, if anything? Just give me some feedback. Would love to hear it. But other than that, thank you for watching. Good luck with your contest this week. Please hit a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the lineup construction video tomorrow. All right, bye.